What's up, YouTube? This is SuperDuperTutorials here, and today I am starting what I hope will become a brand new series on YouTube. And to start it off, first of all, my opponent today will be SuperDuperTutorials. She's another big PokeTuber like I am. Her channel will be in the description below, the link to her channel. Anyway, so let's see what we have here. Today we are going to be playing what I'm calling my Don Troll deck. Let me open up that deck and actually show off what exactly is inside of it. This is a very big deck right now. It's all over the place at cities. It'll probably be at a lot of states. I wouldn't be surprised if it makes it to Worlds and does very good there. So I want to show off what my deck has in it. First of all, we have a typical 4-4 line of Vampy and Donphan, and then our only other Pokemon is Suicune. But that's all you need in this deck, and here's why. It's because of this little item here called Robo Substitute. Play this card as if it were a 30 HP basic colorless Pokemon. At any time during your turn, you may just discard this card from play. It's not a Pokemon until it hits the bench. So if you start out with 6 energy and a Robo Sub, you have to shuffle all that back into your deck because it's not a Pokemon while it's in your hand, only while it's on the bench. However, if this Pokemon is knocked out, your opponent cannot take any prize cards for it. So combine that with Spinning Turn from Donphan, you Spinning Turn straight into the Robo Sub, and all of a sudden your opponent has to knock out all of these different cards, and they don't get any prizes from it? That's lame. That really is lame. Anyway, we also have one switch because sometimes Spinning Turn just isn't an option. I have 2 Ultra Balls, but the big searcher in this deck is Karina. Karina lets you search for a fighting Pokemon, and since almost all our Pokemon are fighting, that's great. Lets us search for a fighting Pokemon and an item card and put them into our hand. Really great. We have 2 Lysander, we have 2 VS Seeker, we have 2 Colress because we usually want to hope for a rather full bench, and preferably our opponent as well. We do have 1 Lysander's Trump card because once those 4 Donphan are in the discard pile, no way to get them back otherwise. So it really comes in handy, especially post late game. We have the typical 3N, 3 Sycamore, and I actually played 2 Shauna because I found out really quickly this deck likes to take prizes really fast. So Shauna, shuffle your hand in your deck, draw 5 cards. Over half the game, typically, you draw more cards with Shauna than you do with N. We have 2 Skyla, we have typical 2 Fighting Stadium, 2 Floatstone, 4 Muscle Band, and I actually do run 1 Headringer in this deck. I would prefer to run Dowsing Machine, but I don't have one on PTCGO. And then the energy line, we have 3 double colorless, 4 strong energy, and 7 regular fighting energy. In fact, I'm going to actually edit this real quick and make it 4 DCE, 6 regular, and 4 strong. So there we go, that's what my deck looks like. And like I said, I will be going up against SuperDuperTutorials first to show off this deck on my channel. Feel free to add me on PTCGO, my username is SkullShirticle, as you can see right here, and I hope you all enjoy. So let's just make a quick cut and then go straight to the battle. And here we are going to begin here really soon. Sorry about the different background, but the laptop battery was dying. So, sending SuperDuperTutorials a challenge request, standard format. Obviously, we're playing a standard format, hopefully. And let's just see when she responds. The thing is, she sent me a request right before this, but it was listed as unknown challenger, not SuperDuperTutorials. So I thought, well, maybe that's her, maybe that's not. So I sent her a message, and by the time she responded, the challenge had been canceled because it timed itself out. So, oh, it says please wait, and here we go against SuperDuperTutorials. Let's flip the coin, see who goes first. We do see the heads. Let me turn off the sound so that the mic doesn't pick it up. And I'm playing Donphan, so I do want to go first. I do not have a basic twice in a row, and starting out with Vampy. That tends to happen with this deck. Since there's only 5 basic Pokemon in the whole deck, that's 1/12 of the deck, something like that. That's basic Pokemon, so out of 7 cards that you draw, you have about a 50-50 chance of not pulling a single one. I'll tell SuperDuperTutorials good luck, and look at those awesome Pikachu sleeves that she has. So, let me just double check and make sure this is recording properly, and it is. So, she's going to get an extra, oh, I'm up against a fairy deck. That's like the worst thing that I could hope for right now. Going to attach the energy. I'll play my Karina, and it looks like one of my Donphans is prized. That's good information to have. And let's get a Robo Sub. This is Don Troll after all. So let's finish the Vampy and the Robo Sub and pass. So now it's her turn, and we're probably going to see a Geomancy here. Of course, Geomancy, choose 2 of your bench Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a Fairy Energy card attached to that Pokemon, then shuffle your deck afterwards. So both of these benched Xerneas and Xerneas EX are going to get a Fairy Energy on them. And it's my turn. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, I'll attach the Muscle Band. I'll evolve that active Phanpy into Donphan, and then I will end. And I did get the Fighting Stadium. Unfortunately, I did not get a strong energy, but that's fine. I can just attach... do I want to attach another basic energy to Donphan, or do I want to power up the Phanpy in hopes of it becoming a Donphan? The problem is I don't have any supporters in my hand, so I'm going to have to rely on top decks for the next little while. So I think I'll just rely on this Donphan, and then spending turn for 60, and throw up the Robo Substitute. And now, Super's turn, and she has 7 cards in her hand. What are those 7 cards? Well, one of them is another Xerneas EX. Has this breakthrough attack, does 60, then 30 to one of your bench Pokemon. Bench damage is really, really bad against Donphan because, of course, Donphan retreats to the bench, or spending turns its way into the bench, I guess is a proper way to put it. And once it's on the bench, your opponent can snipe it with X-Blast, which is, or not X-Blast, Breakthrough. X-Blast deals a whole ton of damage. It can one-shot a Donphan, and the good thing is that Xerneas EX cannot use X-Blast again during your opponent's next turn. Now we do see the double colorless energy on the Xerneas EX, and we see another Geomancy. So now that Xerneas EX on the bench is all powered up. If she gets a Fairy Garden, I'm in deep trouble. And my top deck was a VS Seeker. That was an unbelievable top deck. I'm going to... what should I do? I'm going to set this Donphan up to potentially wreck. I think I'll attach a Muscle Band to the Phanpy, and then play VS Seeker and get N. And then I'll play my N. And alright, I got a Suicune, Floatstone. I got the strong energy. Now I did get a whole lot of stuff, and I have a Shauna for next turn on top of all that. I will... I could spending turn here, but it won't knock out that Xerneas. Unfortunately, is 10 short, but I don't see myself having any other option. I can spending turn into the Suicune. Then... If she sends out one of those Xerneas EX can't touch Suicune, it can still snipe with X-Blast. Not X-Blast, Breakthrough, I keep saying X-Blast. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Just spinning turn, take it down to just 10 HP left, and promote the Suicune. And let's check my discard pile. All that's in there are supporters, VS Seeker, and Robo Sub. And let's see what happens here. If she has Fairy Garden, she can retreat. We do see the Pokemon Fan Club. That's her first supporter of the game. In fact, that's the first card she's been able to discard the whole game. Usually you discard stuff turn 1. This is her 3rd turn, I think, so that's really amazing. But look at that bench. She is completely just ready to wreck me, as amazing as it sounds, since Donphan's the one with wreck. But, well, we'll see what happens here. She can get another Xerneas EX. If this thing runs, I was going to say Florges EX, then she could get Florges and Spritzy, so this is definitely the Aromatisse variant. You know, most Fairy decks are. Aromatisse's Fairy Transfer allows you to move your Fairy energy around your field however you want. And Florges EX, Bright Garden, is seeing a lot of play now, thanks to Puka from the Top Cut for making a Florges deck that exploits this attack. 20 times the number of Grass and Fairy Pokemon you have in play, since Fairy decks usually run Fairy Pokemon, as the name implies, then Bright Garden does 120 if you have all Fairy Pokemon in play. You add a Muscle Band, does 140, which you will notice Donphan, it can one-shot Donphan. So, we're going to see what else happens here. So far, we've only seen the Fan Club, and we just see the Muscle Band go on to the benched Xerneas. We still don't see the Fairy Garden. My Fighting Stadium is still in play. So, we're going to see... Oh, we see another DCE go on to the Xerneas EX. All of a sudden, I wish I ran Enhanced Hammer in this deck, but when you're playing this kind of variant, well, you could switch a whole lot of things out. Like, I have the Head Ringer, maybe I could switch that out for Enhanced Hammer. There are just so many things you can do with this deck. We're going to see probably the Xerneas, the small Xerneas, get powered up eventually to knock out the Suicune. So I'm going to put a strong energy onto that Donphan and then Shauna, see what I get. Well, that was a little different. There's no point to use my Ultra Ball here, so I'm just going to retreat. I'm just going to go into this Donphan, actually, the brand new one, and spending turn for knockout, and go back into the Suicune and take a prize. And my prize was Head Ringer. That might help, we'll see. Both the Xerneases do not have any tools on them. With that being said, there are a whole lot of Fairy energy on the field, and all she needs to do is move the Fairy energy with Aromatisse's Fairy Transfer to overcome the Head Ringer. Head Ringer is a great tool, especially against, say, Virizion Genesect decks. Unfortunately, with decks like Fairy, there are very easy ways to counteract it. So we do see the small Xerneas being promoted. Rainbow Spear will one-shot me. And we do see the Ultra Ball, so I'm going to guess the Aromatisse is coming out. And once the Aromatisse comes out, yep, there it is, then we could just see a Fairy Transfer 1 energy to the Xerneas, Rainbow Spear for a knockout, and all of a sudden, my Suicune is gone. And we do see the end on top of that. Actually, I kind of like this hand better. I have the Lysander. I can Lysander out something big, like that Xerneas with all the energy on it, and I believe Wreck will knock it out. I'm doing 140, 60, and then 80 with the Fighting Stadium. So that will be a knockout on the Xerneas. And we just see a Heracross come out, interesting. And we see the Fairy transfer from Aromatisse, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see the Rainbow Spear here for knockout. The downside to using Wreck is that leaves my Donphan active and it gets rid of my Stadium, but I think it's worth it to take those two big prizes. And getting rid of all that energy as well. We see the Rainbow Spear for knockout, Fairy energy hits the discard pile. There's so many different terms for stuff that happens in the Pokemon game. I'm going to bench this Robo-Sub, and I top decked my last Donphan. That was really helpful. I need to throw up the energy somewhere, so I'll put it onto this Donphan, and then Lysander out that Xerneas, and Wreck should one-shot. There we go. Not only did that get rid of a huge threat, that got rid of a whole lot of energies, which Fairy decks need to have on the field as often as possible. Like I said, the downside is my Donphan is active now, so we could very easily see an X-Blast for knockout here from that Xerneas. That being said, I only need an energy and another Fighting Stadium, and this Xerneas EX is gone, and then all of a sudden all that my opponent has to work with are Florges EX, which need a Muscle Band to one-shot Donphan. And we see a huge Colress for, how many is that? 8. That was really good there. And there's a Fairy Garden. Fairy Garden allows for free retreat, but it also powers up my my Wreck. So I need an energy here. How many energy do I have in play? I'm going to have 2 in the discard pile, and then I have 1. I'm counting my regular fighting energy and strong energy here. So 2 and then 1. So, and there's the X-Blast for knockout. That would be detrimental, but there's the Fairy Garden. So what I'm going to do here is promote this Donphan. If I don't get the fighting energy, and now I've got all sorts of decisions to make. If I don't get the fighting energy, I can still spinning turn into the Robo-Sub. Since I need that fighting energy, I'm going to throw this Muscle Band out so I don't discard it. Then Sycamore, and I got it. Very last card. Right when I needed it. Now I can throw down the 2 Robo-Subs. And even though Fighting Stadium is not in play, I do have a strong energy on me. So if my math is correct, 140, 60, 80. That should one-shot the Xerneas EX, and down go a whole lot more energies. And on top of that, I still have... I'll be down to just 1 prize. That being said, this Donphan is not powered up, which leaves this Donphan open for an attack of some kind. But I think I'm fairly confident at this point. I'm just going to Wreck for knockout and take 2 prizes, and my very last prize is Donphan. That's funny. Let's see, I could Colress next turn. That would give me 8 cards, assuming she doesn't bench anything. And she probably will. And we see the Xerneas come out with energy on it. Unfortunately, Xerneas does not have free retreat anymore because Wreck got rid of that Fairy Garden. And look at all those energies in the discard pile. Almost all of those are there because I knocked out big Pokemon with a lot of energy on them. We see Venusaur EX come onto the bench. Again, Florges works, Bright Garden works for all Grass and Fairy Pokemon. So having a mixture of Grass and Fairy actually isn't that bad. Florges does need a Muscle Band, and on top of that, Xerneas needs to retreat. We might just see Xerneas use Geomancy here. There are 20 cards left in SuperDuperTutorials deck. We see a Muscle Band go on, so Rainbow Spear won't one-shot Donphan. It'll be 10 short. And then all I will need to do is, I believe Spinning Turn will knock out here. Wait, 40, 60, 80? No, it won't. It'll be short. If I hit another Fighting Stadium, though, then I believe that's a knockout with Wreck. It might be a knockout with Wreck regardless. 80, 120. Nope, 10 short. I need a strong energy, and I don't run Hypnotoxic Laser in this deck either. We do see the Colress for 9 from her side, and we just see the Rainbow Spear, and... oh, there we go. I'm just going to have to say good game, because I just won. Oh, that's horrible. Wreck, if my math is correct, should do 140 here. But just to... well, no, it should do a whole lot more.
Oh, the sun's shining!
Oh, the sun's shining outside. So I'll wrap up this game by just using Wreck for 180. Way more than 140 than I thought it was. So that was a fun game of SuperDuperTutorials. If you guys want to have a chance to have a game with me, feel free to add me on PTCGO. My name is SuperDuperTutorials, without the TCG part. Just feel free to add me as a friend. I'll try to do this series a whole lot more often. Thanks to SuperDuperTutorials for being my very first opponent. And also the background music is Glitch X City. The link to her channel will be in the description. She makes great Pokemon remixes. And that should do it for this video. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more.